Hey, and welcome to the first lesson. So in this lesson, we're going to look at how we can convert our footage, the MOV file, to a PNG image sequence. Now, the reason we're exporting an image sequence is when doing any types of visual effects, it's always better to use a PNG image sequence or any type of image sequence. You can either use a TIFF or a PNG or even a JPEG. Because then you don't have to really worry about the frame rate, and you will also ensure that you are using the correct number of frames. Now, you can use any software to do this. You can use Premiere Pro, you can use After Effects, you can use DaVinci Resolve, or you can even use Blender to convert a MOV or a video file to an image sequence. But in this course, we're going to use After Effects to do that. So let's get our video clip inside of After Effects. I'm simply going to open Finder and browse to my footage, the clip, the MOV file, which is a normal 1080p file that I shot with my Mavic drone. So it's a 6-second clip, and we're simply going to drag this into After Effects into the project section right here on the left hand side. Now here at the top you can see the details of this clip. This is 1920 by 1080. And it's using the Apple ProRes 422 HQ codec, and it's running at 25 frames a second. But that's something we don't really need to worry about, because we're going to convert all these frames to individual image sequence files, and then you don't really have to worry about the frame rate, which makes everything so much easier. So I'm simply going to drag this clip into a new composition, into this icon here at the bottom, and this will create a new composition for us. Now, if we play through this, you'll see this is a very simple shot of just this building. Drone is kind of flying backwards, and that's what we're going to use inside of this course. Now, let's stop the playback and let's go to composition right here at the top, and we're going to add this to the render queue. And now we're going to set the parameters to export this as a PNG sequence. Now, we've got some presets here at the bottom. If I just drag this up so we can see this better, you can click on this drop down, and here you will find some presets. Now, I've already saved a PNG preset here, but if you don't see this, you can simply click on this custom to create your own preset. Now, right here at the top where it says format, we're going to change this to PNG sequence. Now, you'll see there's some other options here like JPEG sequence, OpenEXR, or even you can use a TIFF sequence as well. Now, you can go ahead and you can use a TIFF or a JPEG even, but I would recommend using PNG because it's better quality than a JPEG, and it's also a little bit smaller than a TIFF sequence. So we're going to go with PNG sequence. Next, we can look at the video output. Now, for the channels, we only want to export the RGB channel. We are not interested in doing alpha or RGB plus alpha because we don't really have any alpha values inside of this clip, so just leave this on RGB, and you can leave these settings as default as well. Just below that you'll see use comp frame number. Now, if you untick this, you can actually specify the frame number of the first frame that will be exported. Now, sometimes you want to start at 0. I really prefer to start at frame 1 because Blender starts at frame 1 and not frame 0. So that kind of just makes it a little bit easier to work with an image sequence starting at frame number 1. And next we can click on this format options just to look at the compression and make sure this is set to none because we don't want to compress our PNG file. Next, click on OK, and now you can click on OK to save those settings. Now you can see at the bottom it says custom PNG sequence. You can go ahead and actually save this as a preset so you can reuse this next time. To do that, click on this drop down and then click on make template right at the bottom. And here you can specify a name. You can maybe call it PNG sequence or anything you want, and then just simply click on OK. Now you'll see it will show that preset name right here at the bottom. Now let's tell After Effects where we want to export this image sequence to. So next to output to, just click on this not yet specified, and now we're going to browse to a location where we want to export this to. So I'm simply going to go to my folder, and I'm going to create a new folder, call this image sequence, like that. Click on create, and now you can specify how you want to call that or your image sequence, the file name basically. So I'm just going to call this clip and then underscore, and then I want to leave these hashtags in. This will basically be the frame number, so it's going to be 00001 and so forth. So you can even make this a little bit less because we don't have a lot of frames. It's only 6 seconds. So I'm going to decrease the number of hashtags here to, let's make it 4, like that. And that's going to give us 0001, 0002, and so forth. Now you can also untick this save in subfolder, because if you leave that on, it's going to create another subfolder. So just like that, that looks fine. Click on save, and next we're going to simply click on render. And this is going to start exporting all those frames to the image sequence or to that folder. Okay, so once it's done, we can go into our folder that we selected, and just to double check if all our frames exported correctly. So you can see we've got clip underscore 0001, and that's the first frame of our video. And if I scroll down all the way, you will see it's going to go up to frame number 150. So this is all looking good. You can kind of preview them by just kind of going through the image sequence, but this is looking great. So now that we have our clip as an image sequence, you can go ahead and close After Effects. You don't have to save this project because we just use this to export that image sequence. So you can close After Effects, and we are now ready to start with the camera tracking in Blender. So I will see you in the next lesson.